and training camps are open. I mean, tell me what's going on in the NFL.
Well, the big story in the NFL this middle of the week is the Deshaun Watson suspension. The independent arbitrator, the discipline officer, Sue Richardson, suspended him for 6 games without pay for his egregious activity as it relates to sexual misconduct with 26 women. 6 games. She heard evidence from both sides. I was really surprised it was only 6 games because it was significant, the testimony and the documentation that was given about him seeking sex from all those massage therapists. And I think the thing that stuns me the most is he's been in denial that he did anything wrong. And he's been kind of hypocritical of himself by the things that he has publicly said in Cleveland, where he had just been traded, that I did nothing wrong. But yesterday he said, I'm going to try to find my new true self. Well, if you did nothing wrong, why are you telling me you need a new true self? And I read the 16-page decision by the discipline officer, and the judge indicated that he lied to her about what was happening during this massage therapy because the evidence showed one thing, and he said, no, that never happened. Well, the therapist said it did happen, that he showed no remorse whatsoever in the face-to-face hearings with her. So they hand down a 6-game suspension. The union promptly announces, we'll accept it. We're not going to appeal it. The NFL comes back on Thursday and says, we are appealing it. We have a right to appeal. These sanctions are not enough. The NFL wanted a 12-game suspension and an $8 million fine for what he did. They called it egregious sexual assault. That's what they accused him of being involved in. So the written appeal has now gone to the judge. The judge will turn it over to an independent arbitrator that will reevaluate all the evidence that was presented. There's no more hearings. There's no more new evidence that can come in the front door. What was said in those hearings before that discipline officer is what the independent arbitrator will now evaluate, and then he'll make a ruling as to whether it's 6, as was decided, or whether it's 12 plus an $8 million fine. He can't change the decision. He can only decide one or the other. And this is going to create a mess because I think the union is now going to take action against the NFL in court. I think the union's theory is you've just undermined the whole process by not accepting what the discipline officer recommended. So story far from over. He's gone at least 6. Maybe it's 12 plus a massive fine. Because remember, he sat out last year in Houston, but he got his full salary. He got $10.5 million. So it's a big, big story. Now, he's not getting off scot-free on this. He owes $1.2 million in legal fees to the lawyers who fought this case on his behalf. He's reached agreement out of court on, I think it's now 24 of the lawsuits that were filed. I was told that it's in excess of $4.5 million, these settlements. Each person got the same amount of money. And he's losing salary because he won't play this year. So we don't know the end result of this, except we do know that opening day on Labor Day weekend, the Cleveland Browns will have a different quarterback, and it'll be a journeyman. And Cleveland will really struggle on offense without Deshaun Watson. And his career effectively has been smeared. I don't know how anybody in Cleveland, as excited as they are that this Pro Bowl quarterback is going to be part of a franchise, how anybody in Cleveland could look at this guy and think this is a good guy. And the Browns, they'll have their 33rd different starting quarterback opening day since 1999. I mean, it's been a black hole in Cleveland for an extended period of time, but good player, obviously bad guy, and being in denial the way he has and how he conducted himself in the hearings, I think really offended the judge, because what she wrote in the 16-page report, some pretty harsh descriptions of who this guy is and how he acted in front of me.
Well, how could the Browns front office trade for this guy or sign for the guy, knowing what was known at the time of the deal?
The history of the National Football League, John, teams will take troubled players if they can still play and contribute. And they'll try to work around all their shortcomings. The funny phrase in Cleveland at the end of last year when they decided that they were going to trade for Deshaun Watson and they were going to get rid of Baker Mayfield. The funny comment that was made was, well, we needed an adult in the quarterback room. What do you got? You got a sexual pervert who's now been suspended. But that's the history of the league. If you're a good player, they'll find a way to work with you. And I don't know whether he's going to counseling or whether that's going to be part of this equation. But Cleveland gave an enormous amount of money. Cleveland paid the going rate for a star player. This guy is going to sit a chunk of the season, if not the whole season, and the Browns will still have another 4 years of his contract at mega money. But he will have sat 2 full seasons now if this thing goes through and the NFL wins the appeal case.